Hey guys, what's going on? Burt Crown here, coming at you with a franchise video. We're going to do the rise and fall of the St. Louis Blues. What we're going to do is we're going to do 1 year every day this week. So we'll try to get in 7 years, 7 days in a week, makes sense. So we're going to in 7 years, and we're going to see from now until the 7 years where the St. Louis Blues can go. The first year, what our plans are today is just going to be, honestly, map it out, look at where the team stands, not make any big trades, get to draft day, select a player that might help grow this team, unless we see a situation where a top tier player on our team is not performing where we think. Like, for instance, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, with the money they're making, they better be on pace for 90 points. That is how I'm going to do a good basis on how the players are helping out. If they are a huge minus, they gotta go. If they're not getting shots on their respective line, they gotta go. Or if they are not at a 10 point per million pace, they've got to go. So what does that mean for this squad? When I view contracts, that means for forwards, Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou have to be at 81 points or at least on pace to get there. Defensemen will be slightly different. The St. Louis defensive core is terrible. But what we'll do is we'll make them half a point. So Torrey Krug, does he have it in him to do 32 points? Does Justin Falk and Torrey Krug and Parenko have it in them to do 32 points? Braden Shen, can he get 65? Buznevich on the first line should be able to get 58. So we should get good value out of him there. But that is the general idea. And then when it comes to goaltending, I'm not going to expect much out of Holfer, but out of Binnington, I will be expecting a lot. If he does not perform this year at a 900 save percentage and at least getting us more wins than losses, he will be out. Hofer will be our goalie, and we will go from there. But like I said, we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to give one good run and see where we're at. Binnington is signed for a long time, 27, 28, so getting rid of this contract might be hard as trades are on hard difficulty. This is just the intro for the first year. Not all the years are going to be like this. We're going to dive right into them every single time, but the main objective here will be to go from preseason to off-season in one video. So let's dive into it, guys. We're not going to touch anything. We're going to get through the preseason, see where we are, and then I'm going to sim 2 months, and we're going to look at where the players are at in those 2 months. So after simming my preseason, the St. Louis Blues start off great with a 5-2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sim all the way forward to December. We're going to go right up to December 1st, and we're going to see what this type of year is going to look like for St. Louis as they start out with 2 quick losses. Unfortunate. They beat Arizona though, and they head into Pittsburgh. They lose that. So we're starting the year 2-2-1 as we beat Winnipeg. We lose to Calgary and Vancouver. We beat Colorado, which is a surprising win. Love to see it. Then we beat New Jersey, lose to Montreal, lose to Winnipeg, who we just beat. We beat Arizona. We beat Colorado again. We're getting a little record there of beating Colorado over and over again. If we can keep that up, that's a nice little rivalry that we can build. So after 2 months, the St. Louis Blues are sitting at 10-10-2. Not where you want to be if you're thinking about being a competitive playoff team. Now, what we're going to have to go look at is what players aren't performing. Buznevich, we know he's going to be just fine. He's a good contract, and he's 18 points as the leader. But then we have Robert Thomas at 22 games, 18 points. Jordan Kyrou, 22 games, 12 points. This might be a player we have to get rid of as he's a -2. Braden Shen is a -9, and Kevin Hayes is a -11. We're having a big problem keeping the puck out of our net, and we know that's due to our blue line. So Jordan Kyrou might be a piece we move on from if we can establish a player on the blue line to help us out in a situation that makes sense in real hockey. Because I want to try to make sure these trades make sense and it's not just abusing the trade, which we know everyone can do in franchise. So with that being said, we're going to jump straight ahead to right before the trade deadline. We're going to burn through December, January, and February and see where the team is at. Now, they're not looking good right now. We're bottom 7. They were 7 in their division. It's not looking good for the St. Louis Blues, but we get a couple of key wins. We are still under a 500 club, though, as we're 14, 16, and 4. So at this point, it's essentially just going to be, why don't we move towards the trade deadline looking at acquiring draft picks or a young defenseman that could help out this squad, because we're being minuses, we're giving up a lot of goals, and we're not getting wins. And I think Jordan Binnington might have to go as well. We're going to have to see his save percentage, though. We're not just going to judge him based on his wins. I want to see his save percentage. Are we giving up a lot of shots, and is defense the position that we need to address to help get these wins? We beat Edmonton. Maybe Edmonton needs to score. Maybe we go and get Darnell Nurse for a trade there. Who knows? Edmonton beat us 4-3, so maybe they don't need a score. And what is the fit? Can we find a fit in Edmonton to peel away maybe the expensive Darnell Nurse and a draft pick? Buchnevich is still looking good as our leading point getter. Robert Thomas is not, as Jordan Kyrou kind of picks it up a little bit, but he's still a -20. He's underperforming. Jordan Kyrou might have to be moved on from, and Robert Thomas also might have to be moved on from. But I think this might all be off-season stuff. What do we have really in trade value to try to acquire some draft picks? And you know what? I think it is Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, but those contracts are pretty rough. When it comes to goalies, Binnington's still sitting at a 900 save percentage, so a 906 isn't terrible for a team that is losing atrocious. So maybe we hang on to Binnington. $6 million is not terrible, unless we maybe get some value for him in a trade. Now that it's time to just full send and let Joel take over and see if we can get him going as the starter. He's an 880, so he's not doing that much worse. He is a 3.6 goals against, and Binnington's only a 3.1. If it is time to throw, maybe it's time to get rid of Binnington to a playoff team that could use a goalie. And when we look at the standings, where is St. Louis? St. Louis is in dead last in the Central, but where am I in the entire league? What is our draft pick looking like? St. Louis is looking to be a team that is dead last, and by a lot. We are 5 points away from Calgary taking our spot. So Calgary, not going to be into the trade. Realistically, none of these bottom teams would be looking at trading their first round draft pick, so I can't acquire any picks from them. How I'm going to realistically approach it is we'll go to the East and we'll see that Toronto is just in a playoff spot. Same with Florida. New Jersey is chasing. So New Jersey is a team that I'm going to look at making a trade with, and then I'll get back to you with a trade that makes sense. In my opinion, the New Jersey Devils could probably use Jordan Binnington, in my opinion. And what we would probably do is take Jake Allen from them and a draft pick, or Capo and a draft pick. But I think we leave them with the younger player as their backup, and we take their starter and we give them a better starter with a better record that could help them win more games and take them into the playoffs maybe. So that's the trade that I'm going to try to work out. Jake Allen for Jordan Binnington, and we're going to try to get some kickers back from New Jersey for giving them the better goalie. And with that being said, Toronto could use help on its right side. So maybe we can peel a young Timothy Liljegren away from Toronto for a veteran right side defenseman to improve their chances at chasing down the playoffs as well. I think that would be a good bonus, and we could get some picks, maybe, but we're going to have to make the money work. So we're going to have to look at how we can make the money work to fit Toronto. We're going to have to retain some salary. So those are going to be the two targets in trade deadline. Let's go get into trade deadline and see if we can make two of these trades happen and what in general we're going to be looking at. We're definitely sellers in this deadline. Let's go to the deadline and see what we've got. Okay, so Toronto wants Justin Falk, and we want Timothy Liljegren. Now the cap doesn't work. We knew that going in. So we're going to retain a lot of Justin Falk's contract. This might hurt us. This might hurt us in a future contract situation, but we're still probably not far from moving away from Thomas and Kyrou and the rebuild. And if we rebuild, 4 years of retained salary is not a lot. Now, Toronto doesn't have any draft picks, so we're going to go ahead and try to acquire Fraser Mitten. I think he would be a good fit in a rebuild, as he's a young player with good potential of being on the top 9. And Toronto does accept that deal. So now we have moved on from Falk. We've gotten a good young defenseman and a good young forward. We had to retain some salary, but it's a realistic trade that I think helps Toronto in the playoffs, and it helps us build a future. Now here we got Jake Allen for Jordan Binnington. The money isn't an issue. but the value is an issue as we are giving up the far better talent. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a pick if New Jersey has one that we consider to be good value. They're not going to give us our first. That is really unrealistic. We're not going to get a first out of New Jersey. Could we get maybe a second from the New Jersey Devils? Unfortunately, not their second, but maybe we can scoop up Winnipeg's second to balance out that deal and make it fair for both sides, which, yes, it does. So now we've given a good goal in New Jersey, a good defenseman to Toronto. We're going to have to keep an eye to see if that helps those two teams pull up and get better. Okay, so I looked at a trade with Edmonton that kind of makes sense for us, a young prospect. We have to take a defenseman back, and we have to retain salary. If this is something that works, it gives a good depth centerman to Edmonton to help them make that push up the middle and maybe get them some bottom six help to help them win games and not rely so much on their top guys. And that is rejected, so that's not going to work through Edmonton. It was a good try. We'll stick with the trades we have made. So that's going to be enough for the trade deadline. We're going to sim to the end of the year and see how we pan out. Although we know we're not making the playoffs. Everybody's unhappy that Justin Falk is out of town and Binnington's out of town. We're losing guys. We're rebuilding, and it's something that they're going to have to deal with. So now as we come through, losing, the losses, it's what we essentially want. Maybe we keep Kyrou and Thomas because they are young. We just need to get them some help. Buznevich, they're young. They just need help. And I think we can get them that if we draft properly. So now we're just going to sim right to the draft as we know we're not making the playoffs with a record of 24, 49, and 9. But before we do that, we got to see how did those trades work out for the two teams that we were involved with at deadline. In the Atlantic, you've seen that Toronto pushes up from being in 7th to getting all the way up to 3rd in the division. So they were looking like a team that was a wild card not making it, and they obviously pushed a little harder, got deep into their division, and definitely a playoff spot, and maybe they can get a good run with that defenseman pickup. How did the goalie situation work out for New Jersey? I'm going to say not as well. As Binnington came in, maybe he kept playing well, but not well enough to help the team make the playoffs. You know, he took a risk on a better goalie. These things happen. We did not make the playoffs. Edmonton. Maybe if Edmonton had some depth. Toronto's playing Boston. This is a huge one. Toronto's playing Boston, guys. And did they get by Boston? They did not. That is so unfortunate. Oh, even in simulation, I can't get by the Boston Bruins. Oh, my God. Vancouver Canucks win your Stanley Cup. Good for the Vancouver Canucks. And let's see where we are in the draft. St. Louis loses the draft lottery. We drop down to 3rd. Oh my. So LA jumps from 7th to 1st and Anaheim jumps from 11th to 2nd, pushing St. Louis down to 3rd. That's a tough lottery for us. Okay, it is now time for the NHL draft. Now you got to remember, we are in a situation where we have 2 retained salaries. So we can't we can go for it, but we're kind of cash strapped. What is it looking like? What is it looking like for these players? Okay, we got a Ginla. Might not be a bad grab. Right-hand defenseman, always hard to find. But I think what we do is if we can get lucky and get Berkeley Catton, we take Berkeley. I think is what we do if we can get lucky. Let's see who LA takes in this draft. They take Crab. Anaheim. Is Anaheim going to take our pick in Berkeley? They do take our pick in Berkeley. So now we're going to have to move on. Who are we going to take this time? 6'5", unknown because I don't scout. We fly by the seat of our pants here. Unknown. We do have a top 4 defenseman here, but we're not going to do that. If we did that, we would trade down. Our scouting department likes these 3 players. Sam Dickinson, left-hand and right-hand shot. Krill, right-hand shot defenseman. Scouts have him at 6. We're selecting 3. And then we got Iginla. Can never hurt to grab a center. Could we develop Iginla? Maybe. This player here is looking like a sure thing. A sure thing. And I think we take the risk. We take the risk on the giant that could pan out. Does it help us? He is an elite medium. We like it. 75 overall, power forward, left winger. It could make the squad. Let's sim to our next pick and we will see what we can get. First in the second round. We should have been first in the first round and get our guy. But it is what it is. Do we have any gems lingering? It's the first thing we need to see. Any gems? No, just a bust. I do like my elite mediums, so we'll take an elite medium and we'll ride out and hopefully we can get the best from here on out. Top 4 defenseman is not terrible. Our next pick is in the second round, number 53. We'll take a shot on Ben Danforth. The scouts like him. Top 6 medium. Maybe the kid pans out as an NHL forward. We've got to wait and see. And then our first pick in the third round. This is where we just start taking darts on anybody that is a medium. We got a medium talent here, so we will take Sebastian Sonny, who is a top 6 defenseman. Hopefully we can develop him in St. Louis. Bottom 6 forward, medium. I like it. You can't ask for more than that out of the third round. Bottom 6 forward, 66 overall. He makes the show for sure. It feels good. Feels good making that draft pick. Another bottom 6, getting some certainty, filling out the bottom of our roster. Another bottom 6 medium forward, 69 overall. You gotta get your down low. You gotta get your certainty picks, or you get your high flyers. Like right here. What is this? Guaranteed elite 4 low sniper. We got to take a shot on that. Elite 4 low sniper, 47 overall. The shot was a miss. Maybe we could, I don't know, 47 overall. Whew, that is tough. We'll take a shot on this playmaker of a left winger, medium elite, 48 overall. We're probably not going to be signing any of these low round picks, so taking the shot is where it needs to be. 7th defenseman, maybe he leads the AHL for us. Who knows? All in all, not a terrible draft. We'll have to see where our contracts are at. We're not going to be making any big signings. Really, it wouldn't make sense to make any big signings or go after anything crazy, so we'll just wait and see how next year goes. As for the signings we do have to make, we will extend an entry-level deal to, Lindstrom, as he might, take our team day one. And then Stenberg, I feel like we should probably extend him a contract. We don't want that running out on us. Give him a starter deal. And then as for everyone else, we probably just hold off and see how development goes before we plan on signing anybody. And then as for the rest, we got a Pekka, got a Kasperi Kapanen who wants another 1-year deal. We'll send that to him. Scandella, a good bottom 6 guy. We'll send that to him. We're going to keep some of the core together, some of the group together as we rebuild. And we're not going to be really chasing anything just yet. We're just going to be getting into a stride, making sure we have a roster and, essentially not chasing another huge win or anything that might take us out of the bottom of the floor. Another good low contract. Here is an important contract for us. He only wants a 1 year. We'll give him exactly what he wants. We'll have to figure something out. We're going to have to sign him to a big deal eventually, but not this year. And I think everyone just wants the 1 year because they just don't know what the future looks like in St. Louis, and they don't want to commit. I understand not wanting to commit to a team that doesn't have really the brightest future ahead of them. So that's where we're going to end year 1, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Now we're going to move on to year 2 tomorrow. And if you don't want to miss that, hit that sub button, notification bell. Throw in the comment section down below if you really did like it. Big thumbs up goes a long way if you did enjoy it and you want to keep the franchise mode going. But let's see if year 2 we can get better than 24 wins. Or do we still get less wins to get a number 1 overall pick and not lose the draft lottery?